All right, so we're talking about the 4 fundamental questions that determine who you are as a leader. And we've covered so far 2 fundamental questions. Do I choose to be the predominant creative force in my life? And the second question is, do I choose to be an economic adult? Do I choose to be 100% responsible for my own security? And that these 2 choices, being the creative force, suggests that you organize your movement, your decisions, according to what matters to you, and that you create things that matter to you and you bring them to exist. You start from where you are, you create separate from what you know, and you set your course, and the conditions for learning become very present, in that you use current reality as a powerful resource and teacher by taking your identity out of the process. This is really key. And that the quality of expression that comes from really caring about something that you want to create is something you can access at any time. It's a loving urge, a dynamic urge to create something for the sake of it. And then the economic adult question, which is, I choose to be 100% responsible for my own security, and addressing that there is no cure for uncertainty, and that our only ability to rely on what is secure is the adaptability and the capacity for learning. And the capacity for learning means having question number 1, a desired state, having a current reality check on what's going on, telling ourselves true information, being factual with ourselves. By being objective, we can learn, and looking at our course of action through the eyes of a learner, not a performer, in that either we get it right or we don't, but either way, we take our identity out, and by doing so, we either learn or we win. And in that sense, we foster a self-reliance. It doesn't suggest that we're going to be the rugged individualist that makes it all happen. That by having goals and a vision of an alternative future, we need help to create it. But at least it sets the tone for a direction, and that's the beginning of how we make a team. And so now it's time to talk about the other 2 questions. And so I like to think this one right here is really the essence of starting your, well, to me, the true journey of the artist, the entrepreneur. Because the entrepreneur, in order to make them innovate, in order for them to create new creations, bring them to the world, add value, it starts by understanding relationships. In fact, business is a transformative relationship. All business is a transformative conversation that precedes a transformative relationship. And that your way in the world is to listen by going outside what you know, kind of taking your jacket off of what you know, and exposing yourself to the sectors that are in the space, the business, the industry that you're in. Right? So if you're really wanting to get an edge, we have to learn who we're helping. We have to learn their core stories and learn their current situation and understand them with empathy and compassion. And the equipment we use to do that as a leader is our heart, not our head. Sure, we can see what's going on, but to sense into it is another thing, with unconditional acceptance. And to do so, it means that we have to, well, stop the voice of cynicism, put that on hold. Cynicism comes from our shame of not being enough. And when we operate from a fear of humiliation, we're consumed by wanting to look different than we are. And this is where a lot of ego behavior, ego-based behavior, is drawn forth, is trying to manipulate someone to see something different about us, to hide a small sense of self. So to get to this place of listening, this tender-hearted, brave, convivial listening, this respect, it means we turn ourselves toward being where others are, not where we want them to be. And we create atmospheres of safety that give rise to conversations that are real. Because if we're going out and meeting with customers and listening to our opportunities, it's not about what they know about us or what they see. It's about how we understand them and asking and crafting the right questions that really gives them a sense of who we are. So you're not there to be interesting, you're there to be interested. And the quality of the understanding in data, the ability to stay longer and listen deeper to your client, your customer, gives you such an advantage. And yet, if you're too busy trying to achieve and get somewhere, and yet you're forgetting the horizontal connections, cutting the divide between you and the other, you've really lost a sense of what it is to be an entrepreneur. Because the very way in which the origination of innovation is based on understanding. And your very mission as an organization and your core values and what you stand for. There's nowhere to go unless you have someone that you can have value for. Now, in order to create value for someone, there has to be an existing danger or some kind of thing that someone's afraid of losing. And at the same time, there's an opportunity that someone has that they want to reach. And at the same time, there's core strengths, things that excite us that we want to maintain and reinforce. Remove, reach, and reinforce. This is the essence of listening and cultivating the soil, tilling the soil to plant value creation initiatives. Value creation. Value is in the eye of the beholder. I remember a guy who was creating a website for a client as a resource, and a certain type of client, business to business. And it turned out after 9 months, 12 months, all of his assumptions about what the client wanted and needed were incorrect. He found out the hard way by having one of those moments where the feedback that he got was not favorable. But thank God he got it, because he was able to make the adjustments before it got worse. So we kind of have to go outside of our own assumptions. Just like we do in a relationship intimately at home, we have to understand what's in the emotional needs of the other in order for us to be valuable and to cultivate a sense of romantic love. When we don't meet those emotional needs, we truly create a partner that's turned off, much like a plant without water. They become dry and break. So it's our responsibility to focus on contributions, and that means really listening generatively, listening wholeheartedly, listening compassionately to where others are. And then from there, we can start to discover where we can be valuable, eliminating a certain concern or danger or worry. We can help reach an opportunity and also reinforce a strength. We do that by providing leadership, direction, creativity, capability, relationship, trust, but it all starts with understanding in a particular way who we help. There's a lot of help out there that isn't helpful. So are we really providing helpful help? And that starts by listening and then confirming what we're doing. So it's not about selling for the first time. Selling means helping, but it doesn't mean that we're helping for just one time. It means creating a relationship for a lifetime with a customer. So there's transactional relationships. There are personalized relationships. And then there's what's called the transformative relationship, which is really understanding at level 3 the customer and having a transformative relationship for them outside the traditional role of your business role. And then there's fundamental, which is really truly partnering with another in a sense that we're both co-creating something together. So there's transactional, there's personal, there is transformational and fundamental. And I encourage clients who get coached to go after that fundamental relationship, because really all of their values can be transcended at work. All their real deep values, their spiritual values, can rise to the occasion in creating an atmosphere of trust and building a capacity, a relationship with their clients that truly, the client is their marketing team. And that marketing team is someone that's going to provide a raving fan sort of feedback to them. They're going to be mobilizers and diehards of the business. They're really part of a larger community from which you cultivate and build a language with. So the one that really wins here is creating experiences for your clients that really monopolize the value. So it's not about seeing your product as just a product. It's about creating a client experience. It's not about creating a service. It's about creating a client experience. And you see your business as a process, not a product. And in that sense, everything becomes malleable around wow factor. And I think of wow factor as when or what. When a client asks you, when do you want me there? What do you need? Basically, they've been delivered the value. They feel grateful for what you are, what you've been given, what they've been given as sort of a privilege. And they can't get what you do anywhere else, and it's critical to their future success. And you have a unique process in place that does that over and over and over again with consistency and measurable results. Meaning, it makes an impact. It makes an emotional impact. So again, you're aligning your deliveries, your services, and your capabilities, your unique process, with the client's dangers, opportunities, and strengths. But also, it's about understanding the possible future for the client. If we imagine the client 3 years from today, and we ask them, what would be your highest hopes about this 3-year future? If they were to look back from that 3-year point, what is that client telling you about their 3-year future that sparks your unique process and gets your motor running in terms of what solutions you could create to eliminate obstacles, accelerate opportunities, and reinforce strengths for them to take delivery of that 3-year future? You can imagine how much regard another relationship has for someone that's interested in impacting someone that way. It's all about them. So that if that affects your sales process, in the questions that you ask or the information that you take in, it's about serving those people. It's about coming from the heart. Right? It's not about the head. It's about something emotional. It's about the connections that we have and understanding them, taking good care of them, making sure that they know that we're here as a preeminent strategist, as someone that is here on their behalf to continue better and better value that we're going to give them. And so that means keeping in touch, making sure that they understand who we are and what they're doing with us and what we're doing for them, and that we're clear about the story that we're living into on behalf of the client's aspirations and future, and that it's very much all about them, and we're here to serve them in all that. Every innovation, every new idea, everything starts with how can we serve the client. This is called creative value. And it's positioning this process, this business process that you go to work on, because the question here is this: do I choose to expect opportunity by creating value for someone else first? Do I choose to only expect opportunity by creating value for someone else first? See, there's no entitlements in that. So that means that I will not expect rewards. I won't expect a referral. I won't expect a doorway. I won't expect that unless I create value for someone else first. So that's putting that first. Now, to create value, it's about shaping a perception of who I really am. It's about being consistent with that perception, which is brand. It's aligning my actions with my intentions, doing what I say, finishing what I start. Maybe it's always being punctual, being on time, or maybe it's being courteous, saying please and thank you. But there are habits that, given that I'll always practice those, I'm developing a dependable image in the other person's mind, and they're inclined to put their trust in me, refer me, open doors, count on me, depend on me, and so forth, which is the centerpiece of the relationship. It's built on trust and vulnerability and removing risk and enhancing confidence. So remember, confidence is about where you can put your attention. So if I come from the place of value first for you, then you are the one. That means value's in the eye of the beholder, and it's my work to continue to arouse that sense of value, and that you feel valued, and that you sense the emotional quality of what you get capable of doing. The capabilities that I bring you, the deliveries I bring you, the services, the solutions, are all really meant to impact the unique way that I understand you and hold you in the world. And so then it becomes about honest help, helpful help, and the kind of help where I'm truly in tune with where you are, and that I have answered that question in every way, with my habits, with everything I do, the support system as a business person. I'm kind of tailoring my unique system, my process, the resources I have, in consistently picking up on the signals that my clients have that I'm delighted by. Now, that doesn't mean that I do business with everyone. So the big idea is that we want to do business with people that we like, in that we have a criteria for those individuals that we tend to work our hardest for. See, the point is, you will never be as valuable to someone that does not make you enthusiastic to work with them. I don't care how much work ethic you have. You will blow it in some way. They will fire you, or you will make a misstep, but you can only do so much for so long just doing a chore and an obligation. It doesn't mean you have to love everybody, but it means that you certainly have an admitted intention to do business, and you know the qualities of those people's business styles, you know their person, you know the things they read, what they do, what they talk about, and they truly naturally arouse you. So the basis of your client selections is based on admiration. If you love what they do and you do what they ask because you love what they do, you're more effortless and you're more natural in wanting to serve them because you understand them. And they bring you into who you are. There's a circularity to that. So someone will ask me, well, how could I turn that business away? I would say, how can you not? If you're not willing to pass the good opportunities to have the great ones, what are you doing? Because if you're going to compromise, what's the point? You're not going to have as much fun. And if truly you're with a business client that is not treating you well, what does it say to your team? I'm willing to keep around those ones that really make my team have difficulty. That doesn't make your team a good customer, and they should be the number one customer anyway. So how do you do this 360? You're not just creating value for your team, you're creating value for your customer. You're creating value in your life. You're creating value for your friends. It's a way of looking at things. It's universal. You're looking after people in a way that you are triggered to create value, just for the joy of it. And when you do that, what you appreciate appreciates. When you're coming from a place of value and not expecting reward, people trust you differently. Doors open for you because you're not being a taker. You're being a compassionate giver. And you've got all the go-giver in you that you need to serve. Even if you're not necessarily getting something in return right away, doors will open. It's an abundance mentality. It's just where you're coming from. It's not about the result. It's about the source, the inner place from that which you operate. You're coming from that sort of soul service of being there for another, the person that you really want to serve is going to get served in a unique way because of the way that you admire them. Pay attention to how much admiration you have naturally for your clients. Get to know them at a level that you can grow that admiring heart. And then let them know what you admire about them as a source of transparency and feedback. Because, again, business is about relationships. And the quality of the relationships are shaped by the quality of the conversations. Business is a series of transformative conversations. So when you take your self-knowledge, your personal gift, you have an ideal client, and then you have a transformative conversation, guess what you get? E equals DM. Energy is equal to that which makes a difference, multiplied by what matters. E equals DM. It's a law of spiritual economics. That your energy that animates you is brought forth by that which makes a difference for others, times an outcome that matters to you. That's it. So how do you stay on that reservation? You make a choice to. You trust it. Which brings me to the next question and the last question. This one is, will I choose to lead my life with my personal gift out front? Now, it's been said in business that you should focus your strengths and manage your weaknesses. Yes, that's good advice, but should you only just focus on your strengths? Not necessarily, because to create some things that you want, you may need to learn a few new things that you aren't top-notch at. And that learning process can be a lot of fun and very enjoyable. It doesn't mean that you're going to put yourself into ineffectiveness, put yourself in harm's way of others. Granted, if it's something really critical that you will never get better at, you should have people around you that are the best in the world, and always have performers and players around you that are better than you are. You're building an organization, not a job. So the big idea is that you lead with your personal gift out front. Now, some individuals, we often have these sources of resistance about leading our life in this area of skill. I'm not talking about your strengths. I'm talking about doing what you're born to do. I'm talking about a strength as resonance, not just as an aptitude. Strength as resonance. In other words, doing what you do in a way that it brings you into aliveness because it's what you love to do. You do what you love and love what you do. It's both. The doing what you love is really about doing the thing that really energizes you. Loving what you do means creating something that you love first and then bringing it into being. It's both. So the twin towers of dominance here are your intrinsic desire, what you want to create, combined with your self-knowledge. What is your personal gift? Now, personal gifts are something very interesting because they are the magnet for all of your relationships. And you knew you had this when you were 7 years old. If you go back in time, people around you in your life from 7 to about 9 years old probably told you that you did something very special and that you were aware of it, but it never really became the centerpiece or the touchstone of your career or your reason for relating with the world. It was probably buried and you became de-geniused by life because there's so many complexities in life, roles and things that start to basically tone it down. It's almost like a domestication process. Don't be dangerous. Don't be wild. Get socialized. Do it this way. Follow the rules. Instead of cultivating your place to take in the ecosystem. So how do you find out your place to take in the ecosystem? You ask people around you. Why have you been in a relationship with me? What about my way of being with you delivers a personal gift? What is my personal gift? Maybe make a list of your best habits and then maybe list 10 and ask these people around you. Maybe take 10 of your closest and nearest clients and friends and ask them, what of those habits that you do, if they had to pick 3, are your best? But here's the key. It's not how good you are. It's not how superior you are at it. That's necessary. But really what it's about is how much enthusiasm do you get from doing it? What makes you valuable in the world is how much you concentrate on things that give you energy. Now you might think, well, wait a minute, that's selfish, JD. Why would you tell me that? That's actually not. Because you owe the world that. You have no decision to make about this. When something gives you that kind of energy, what you found is like a horse with a pasture. That's your place. That's your location. When you think of the word genius, think of genie, magic, us, genius, magic in us. How do we get magic in us? We find our place. The loci is the location of the genius. The loci is our ecosystem. It comes from the social architecture from which we have transformative conversations, right? So we plant this personal gift, ideal relationship, transformative conversations, E equals DM, and voila, we enter a zone where we are able to be totally ourselves and basically marry spirituality with commerce. We're able to do great business with creative freedom, creative value, and in this area, creative purpose. And when we do that, we give rise to a certain financial freedom that if we position our businesses in such a way where we can really grow it, we can make things very, very simple. As a matter of fact, we can get happy and be very, very valuable. And actually being happy is one of the greatest, most generous things you can give people. Because no one wants to be around an irritated leader. When you take time off and you enjoy your time outside work, you get great gratitude. As a matter of fact, the more money you make is always in correlation with the amount of time off that you take. Now that must sound really weird to you because you would think, well, I got to work really hard to make a lot more money. That's not true. You're more valuable, you're more creative when you rest your mind and you change your gears. Because your right brain is who comes online when you're on these days off. Your left brain's always working. And it's your right brain that makes you more creative and non-machine-like. And the one thing that machines will never replace in a human being is creativity. You want to find creativity, you got to go get your spirit. And that's why breakthroughs always come from the outside. That's why all the business epiphanies come from being on vacation. They don't come from being in the performance. They come from being outside and looking in. They always do. So you'll be in Hawaii, you'll somehow be out on the buggy and you're racing and you're doing this thing with your family or you're paragliding or whatever. And you have these amazing moments, these epiphanies where you see ahas. How does that happen? It's because you've given yourself the gift of renewal. Renewal is the basis of intensity. Oh, no, well, wait a minute. The American way is we got to keep working. We're going to work more hours, more debts. We got to work our goals because it's not ambitious enough. It's not true. We need a new way of keeping score as whole people. You have a technicolor life. You're not just this black and white identity of I'm a worker. It's all about being integrated, and so you can't see differences and honor them. You can't see other insights or get the non-adjacencies of life, see the disconfirming realities until you take a break and have that moment of stillness when you're on those vacation days and you recreate yourself. And the purpose of rejuvenation is to become young again, is to become juvenile, to rejuventude, which is to become juvenile again. So to be valuable to others, to lead with our personal gift, to take our place in the ecosystem, it's about opening ourselves to the joy of not working. Because the way that we expand our abilities and our creative talents is not by working. That's how we lose our edge, because we work so hard that we get away from what we're really genuinely genius at doing. We have to rest. And the second thing is we have to delegate everything in our life except the one or two exceptional areas. And that means having a very clear eyesight, the ability to see with your eyes and heart the gifts around you of people and talents and other humans that have a personal gift in the areas that you see. And part of your role or your agency in clarifying that is you're a supply line to helping other people put it together, especially your leaders, is your leaders need you to see them, to see who they are, and what you see is what you get. Because truly when you see them for who they are and you make admiration also the basis for your decisions with them, you see them as you do, you bring them to appear. You are the critical component to what you see is what you get, and it will not be made real into the world until it is seen. Our true properties are dependent on the patterns of interaction that we have as humans. So we do not know ourselves until we are known through others. And that means asking for feedback. Not what can I do better, but it's why am I attracting to be led by you? Why am I able to lead you? Why are you able to invest in me as a relationship? Because of your personal gifts. And just because you think it comes easy to you doesn't mean everybody does it. It means you do. And the value that you put on what you see and the value you put on what turns you on, what gets you going, is only you. It's your fingerprint. It's your voice. It's your thing. It doesn't mean you're separate from the world. It means that you have found a place where you can naturally be more of yourself and that you can figure out how to create value in the role of an entrepreneurial career. You're an entrepreneur with a medical specialty. You're an entrepreneur with an insurance specialty. You're an entrepreneur with a mortgage specialty. I'm an entrepreneur with a coaching specialty. Right? Maybe you're an entrepreneur with a construction specialty, but you're not defined by what you do. You are the unique ability, the personal gift, the X factor that stands behind that. And through the advent of the business, you make it like show business. Just like a headliner in a show, you are there on stage, game day, prime day, bringing that great gift out to the audience, taking away everything except that, and having other people around you deliver their personal gifts in areas that are not yours. It's that simple. And so you make all of your hiring and all of your delegating and all of your needs development around help based on seeing other people into, giving them the freedom to choose their personal gifts, and then having that connected to the important criteria for success that you need help with. Just imagine having a team where 50%, 60%, 70% of their role is doing more of what their factory-made skills are, where the bisection or the duality of their superior skill in combination with what brings them energy, it's always inherent in their day. It's that voluntary energy that really produces outstanding performance. Yes, it's important to have discipline, sure. Yeah, it's important to practice. That's how we create things. But to lend these gifts to our aims, to take aim with our gifts, is truly where it's at. So self-knowledge and intrinsic desire. So I ask you to ask yourself these 4 questions. Do I choose to be the predominant creative force in my life? Create or not create? That's the question. What am I creating? Toward what do I want to focus my life spirit? Or are you reacting to circumstances by having a better attitude and still not creating what you want, no matter what attitude you change? You have a choice. It's a fundamental one. The second choice is, do I choose to be an economic adult? Do I take 100% responsibility for my own security? And that means using my gifts, using my resources, developing my business by positioning things in such a way where my adaptations, my listening, my conversion from understanding others into solutions and services and things I provide are the direct vehicle for me to be rewarded, and that I'm listening and I'm in relationships with others, having transformative conversations, using my personal gifts with ideal clients so I can be resourceful. And with that, I can only expect opportunities by first creating value for someone first. I choose to expect opportunities only by creating value for someone first. I choose a no entitlement attitude, and I run that through the DNA of my company. And I develop a reliable set of habits to do what I say and finish things I start, always be on time and saying please and thank you and more, so that I can be held in people's minds as one who people choose to invest as an augmentation to the other resources and the unique process that I deliver them in business. And as I do, I keep learning how to get better and better at that unique process with good measure and testing and feedback, because I seek to create a transformative and fundamental relationship with clients. And the fourth question is, do I choose to lead my life with my personal gift out front? Articulating that through the eyes of others, articulating how they see you by asking them, what is your personal gift? Always being articulate with it, finding the superior skill that you have a passion for, and then taking everything outside of it that you're currently doing and either eliminating it, delegating it, automating it, but it needs to be shut down from having its time in your life. If you're spending time on things that are necessary, unnecessary, and not on the impact work of doing your personal gift, it is a recipe for depending on addictions, for using synthetics. It is a recipe for trying to manipulate oneself into being happy. Because unless you make up your mind that that's how you're going to live your life, you're going to be depending on other people as objects, depending on synthetics, things that you'll look for to try to make up for that lack of arousal, because the natural way is to be involved in creating what you want and also providing, taking aim within your gifts to get it. That's when people are most happy. They're pleasurably involved. They're in a flow state, doing what they find effortlessness in doing because they're exceptional at it, creating something that really they love. Those are the two greatest powers that we have in the universe to create anything: honesty and love, and the objectivity of knowing ourselves and the love for something that we want to bring into being. And so I leave you with that thought of what if? What if you organized your life, your choices, around these four fundamental choices? You would choose to be true to yourself. You would choose to create relationships because they matter. You would direct your yeses and your nos within the truth of who you are. You would be in your right livelihood, doing your place to take in the ecosystem. But you probably, as I say these things to you, you should do this with some help and guidance. You don't go it alone. These four questions are a quest, but they're questing in teamwork. They're not questions that bring you into being this self-sufficient, independent, competitive person that doesn't need any help at all. It means that you are willing to learn, that you have a lab mentality, and that you're willing to make these changes by paying your dues, letting go of status, security, comfort, to go to the next level, and that sort of thing. It means being willing to get help and guidance, not having all the answers, being comfortable with your own ignorance. That's what being coachable means. So what these four questions will automatically do is put you in a position of collaboration, great teamwork, having a brain trust, bringing it to being by working at a future together, one that inspires you, one that truly in your eulogy values. If your best friends at your celebration of life were to talk about what your life did, you would have made good on this with no regrets. This would be you living the life, not the unlived life, but to play all of your music in you and die with none of it left, but you played it all. This is the way. It's not the only way, but these are choices that you can make. They're options. So I challenge you. My role as coach of 22 years at this is to be the challenger, is to set the baseline, is to get you to say, okay, the gig is up. Draw the line in the sand, and then take a walk in the desert, as they say, to go learn something, the revelation, something new, but you have to step into the experience. I can only open the door. You have to walk through it. And that is your walk in faith in action. You have to take a meaningful leap into some uncertainty here. That what you want is based on just something in your deepest, deepest heart, your whisper, that says, go. It's an adventure. Let's go. Let's play it a little more dangerous, right? Let's go. Let's create. Let's create something that really matters. And either way, if you don't make it, the process is its own reward. And if you do create it, you'll create that momentum upon which other creations will come. But at the end of the day, you stayed true to yourself. This is it. So we're at highlevelperformance.com, highlevelperformance.com. Love to hear your thoughts on this topic and what moved you, what struck you, maybe what challenged you beyond the familiar. If you'd like to start up a conversation and you're not being coached, please call our offices at 714-375-6624. My name is JD, founder and head coach of High Level Performance. We're at highlevelperformance.com. You can email me at vipcoach@highlevelperformance.com. Have a great day.